I grew up happy. So despite everything that had gone on, because for me it was normal, I saw a lot of violence. I saw my dad would beat up my mom and beat up my sister, sometimes even me. There was a lot of emotional abuse. I didn't have a great relationship with my siblings, especially my mom. This affected me, especially growing into secondary school. People knew my sister as this girl that she was always in trouble, and that's how I was portrayed to be. I grew up very angry, very bitter, someone that if you mess with me, like, I'm gonna get you back, that I'm gonna get revenge back on you. My sister came in the kitchen, and I was just there. I was just doing what I normally do. She started getting very physical with me, so I became physical with her back. So I went to the kitchen and I said, you know what, I'm gonna teach her a lesson that she can never mess with me again. So I grabbed a knife, and then she put out her hand, and as she put out her hand, I stabbed her. I completely blacked out. When I opened my eyes, I realized, oh my gosh, she really got hurt, and she had to call the ambulance. But with the ambulance came with the police. The second time I got arrested, and this was when I was at home, my mum just said a few words and I bursted out of anger. I remember there was a time where she went into the room with my sister and her. They closed the door. In that moment, I felt normal again. I was normal as myself. And then I said, why are you running? Why are you running away from me, you know? They said, no, Karry, you're too much. They were really scared of me at that point. And then that's when they called the police. I ran away because I smashed one of my glass windows. I ran to my auntie's house, and then the police called me and said, look, you have to surrender. If you don't surrender, we're going to classify you as wanted. I think it was that same day I did surrender because I said I needed to get help. I remember just before that, I would go to councils. From that point, when I was getting arrested, I was getting into trouble. Not only just that, I was taking drugs, I was smoking at least more than 20 packets in a day sometimes. I had weed. As long as I had what I needed, then everything was okay. If I didn't have, everything came crashing down for me. I couldn't see myself being sober. I had to be high. That was the only way that I could sleep. The only way that I could be more happy, more joyful. Like, I forget about all the problems that I faced. I remember getting into relationships. And these relationships wouldn't help. Sometimes I would get with a guy that would say, oh, I like you, I love you. He even would introduce me to his family. And then in the next month, didn't work out. And I could see that in every single relationship that I was in. And it was like a cycle. Later down the line, I realized that I was broken. People would betray me. I would trust, and then the trust would be broken, especially with family members. So I had a lot of traumas. So I knew about the church because of my family members. My mom, she used to attend. My mom said to me she'd pray for me early in the mornings, like she would wake up randomly at different times praying for me. And in that moment, I used to always think about the church. Every day I would walk past the church and I would look at it and I say, one day. And then that one day eventually came. So I remember there was a time where I would think about the church several nights. And when I got inside, I remember the pastor, I don't even know the pastor's name. I didn't know the pastor's name at the time. I didn't know where he was from, anything. But I remember sitting down there, and then it was like God was speaking to me. God was speaking of my life. I never knew the pastor. I'd never spoken to him in my life. But he said everything that I went through, every problem that I went through, he said it. That moment for me was joy to my ears because it was a sense of relief. Finally, I found what I've been looking for all this time. Not my mom could give to me, no counsel, no one could give to me this. I took part of a campaign for the Holy Spirit, and that's what I wanted. On that day, I didn't receive the Holy Spirit, but the Holy Spirit brought the 21 days fast of Daniel, and he said, this is for you. I remember preparing my clothes, I anointed my clothes, I brought a present. I said, God, I'm going to bring you this one soul. It was a fight to bring that person, but I said, I was determined. I said, God, this is going to be my gift to you. From that moment, I said, this is it. I seek God with all of my heart. And just before we seek the Holy Spirit, I remember the man of God said, if you don't have the Holy Spirit, you have an expiry date. Eventually you're gonna go. You're gonna leave the church. You're gonna leave the presence of God. And that's what clicked into me. When it was the time to seek the Holy Spirit, I sought with all my heart, with all my strength, with all my mind. And I said, God, this is it. If I don't have your Spirit, then what's the point of me being here? So in that moment, I gave everything, every past that I had, everything that I liked, I surrendered it, even though it was embarrassing to speak to God about, but I said it. And when I said it, it was a confirmation that I received the Holy Spirit. God confirmed within me. It wasn't a feeling, but it was a true confirmation from within. And from that moment, inside of me started changing. I started to see myself more happier, more free. I started to become the Karry that I never thought I could ever see myself be. I no longer get angry. Like, there are times things happen to me, even in places, at home, situations come, but it's not like a thing where now I get angry, I get revolted. Today now, I am free from addictions. I have a good relationship with my family. Yes, we have our moments, but it's normal in a family. I don't sleep around anymore. My desire is to save souls, is to do more, to give more of myself. Of course, today now I'm an assistant. I take part in the battalion meetings on Saturdays where we go out to evangelize. But not only just that, but in my free time when I'm available, I go out and I save souls. But most importantly is having the Holy Spirit. That's the main joy for me. The fast of Daniel for me represents my relationship with God being strengthened, becoming closer to God, and honestly it's a great opportunity for me to every day to renew myself. My name is Karry and I received the Holy Spirit during the fast of Daniel.